Hey everybody, Kaysha here, and today I am here with my friend
Jennifer Guskin,
and we need your help. We are right now working on advocacy for combating human trafficking, and here's why. So we'll give you a little bit of background of our story and why we're doing what we're doing.
I was adopted as an infant by a couple who sold me throughout my childhood. I have been to Epstein Island and on multiple Lolita Express types of flights as a child. After I went public, Child Protective Services opened a substance-exposed newborn case, even though all tests came back negative, and they told me that if I wouldn't stop posting on social media, I would never see my daughter again. I started to connect how I was adopted as an infant and then sold throughout my childhood, how many other children who have been through the adoption, foster, and CPS pipelines have also been trafficked to Epstein's Elk.
And as many of you guys know already, based on the work that we do at the Karis Project, I'm an American Indian born in Canada under the Jay Treaty. My father and I were exposing the improper contagion mitigation for the COVID pandemic in early 2020. As a result of this, I lost everything: a house, cars, corporate assets, jobs. Bank accounts were shut down in Canada, and I fled to the US as an American Indian, fully documented, and was trafficked by rogue agents in ICE and other agents in the government, and forced to live with single American men. I was even imprisoned for 7 months initially, and then trafficked throughout the states. Put on full surveillance tracking and wasn't allowed to leave the city house or state without permission or work without permission. And that happened for many years, and I was on and off the streets because of that, and in and out of shelters. And that is just a small example of what many go through in this trafficking system, be it the family courts or otherwise. So that's why the Karis Project will be going to DC to speak with representatives and do live reporting. We're also going to be in contact with other families who are dealing with human trafficking, and through the CPS courts or through any other means, lesser versions of trafficking, and doing reporting on them live and otherwise. We will also be working on, we ultimately want to shine light on what's going on with the trafficking here in the US. And we also want to meet with various agencies in DC, and we'll be going back and forth for training sessions and other things so that we can be better equipped to help people deal with resolving some of the issues that we're seeing. We will also be putting forth petitions in government to help people get justice, and that's something that we have been working on already so far. We have some petitions that have recently been filed in the state of Colorado, Michigan, Texas, and Arizona, and we will be continuing.
But we can't do this on our own. We will be traveling to events and training courses, as well as DC on a consistent basis. We also have to get acceptable equipment, such as computers, cameras, interview gear, etc. There will be other miscellaneous costs that would also be like gas, food, and rooms if necessary.
So that is why we are working towards combating human trafficking, and that is exactly why we need your help. We cannot do this alone, and most what the Karis Project does is on its own dime. And so we do love and appreciate each and every one of you that support us and all the work that we do. As many of you know, we also live stream on Lindell TV every day. And everything we do, like I said, is on our own dime. So we appreciate all the love and support and all the people who do donate. And we would very much love and appreciate that still. Thank you everybody for your time and considerations, and thank you for all the support, and we will catch you guys in the next one, and hopefully we might see you guys in the future and come across you and maybe be able to do some great things together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Karis Project podcast. Today, we are going to go and talk about some of this boss babe stuff and the loneliness epidemic. You want to kind of get us eased into it, Kaysha?
The loneliness epidemic and boss babe. Yeah, so I mean, honestly, the boss babe stuff I think is just nonsense. It's very selfish. It's destroying homes. Like women thinking that they can get the safety and security of a man from being a boss babe is delusional, for one, because you're not replacing the mindset of a man. Like someone told me, I hear this all the time. Oh, Kaysha, if you make more money, you have better options for men. First of all, that's insulting, because how do you know what I have and what I don't have? And secondly, I have a father. Well, that's firstly, and that's secondly. Um, and then you think that your money, you think that if I had more money, I would now be able to read the actions of a man like a man. That is literally impossible. That is trans ideology. That is also demonic, and it is delusional. That is not possible. Having more money, if I had $1 million right now, that doesn't make me a better judge of character for men. Right now, women think that if they have more money, it allows them to judge a man's character better than what they are already doing. Because all of a sudden, it's going to force the good men to be attracted to you and the bad men to run away from you. It's like a repellent. It's like swipe or no swiping as soon as you have money. And that is not how that works. I'm sorry, you guys are delusional and you are causing problems for everyone. And honestly, like the girl said on the clip earlier today, I wish that I could see the person, the woman who started this the first wave feminism, and knock her teeth out. Because quite frankly, this delusion of getting all the benefit without any of the work is what caused all of this nonsense. And then the lack of gratitude. Women think this way because they have no gratitude for the men around them that are creating circumstances for their success. They cannot see practically because they refuse, their delusional brains refuse to allow them to see the hard work and effort that men around them are putting in for them to be as amazing as they are and to get into the position and do the things that they're doing. It is holy. Anyways, let's get into the clips because I'll talk forever.
Yes, because I'm going to start off with a clip of some girls from the BOP House. And I will say that when they brought a 17-year-old girl in there to come in and do something, and they were on TikTok and stuff, I don't agree with that, right? Because what are they doing? Adult kind of content, and this girl has had some sexually suggestive stuff. People were questioning her own mother for getting her into these situations and monetizing her underage daughter in a manner that people were like, wait a second. And then there's some issues about bringing girls in, and this girl, I guess Bonnie Blue was there and brought her into this situation. We're gonna listen to talk about the situation with Bonnie Blue, and then we'll get to the girl that Carmella Arrujo, I think it is, who is the one that's always talking with Sophie Rain about the money in her brother. Yes, and because she actually talks about this girl, but we're gonna bring out the one about Bonnie Blue because they have the idea of what they're promoting at the BOP House and the types of things. So let's just get to it.
Leah's the girl, if you don't know her, she's in the BOP House, and she's the girl in the infamous Bonnie Blue scene, which I'm not gonna lie, it kind of broke my heart to see some that.
The hate, like when you're in the moment, like I met her, she's a beautiful soul, like sweetest person ever, hung out with her and Ryan and everyone, so sweet. But then you're sitting there, and when there are people surrounded by you that are literally actually you, like you're like this.
Wait, but were you in the middle for that, or that was before? I thought you were there pre.
Oh, I was.
I thought you were ski mask scene.
I was there
while that was going on.
I was.
See, I don't think
I'm getting hated.
Well,
and I was in the moment, like I was freaking out. Like if you do see a clip, I'm actually like like this the whole time. Like I brushed her hair.
But you were in the scene with all the guys.
Yeah, the hate is unreal, and I do regret it. I love her to death and her managers, but I'm so traumatized.
Yeah.
Imagine 25 are around you, and you're like this.
So
I don't understand. Was she having sex with those men?
No. She brought Bonnie Blue brought her in to watch her get gangbanged. Yes, and this girl is like just 18, I think. Right?
Oh, she didn't even participate, and she just
No,
watched?
she wanted to bring her in as a barely legal 18-year-old to watch her take it. And this was what they were, yes, at the,
Oh, that's not the girl that was on the one thing, and she has her own OnlyFans? That's not that same girl?
no, this girl is the girl,
Just-
Bonnie Blue came to the BOP House, right? And I saw this, and she was talking to them about how she wanted them to come in and see all of this stuff. And so she went in there this girl, she said she wanted the barely legal 18-year-old girls to come in.
But that girl looks like the girl we clipped before who has OnlyFans. Is that not the same girl with OnlyFans? The blonde-haired girl that said she's traumatized.
She might have OnlyFans because she's at the BOP House.
Is she a random 18-year-old girl?
No, she came to the BOP House at 18 to participate.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. She has an OnlyFans already.
Yes.
She's still traumatized by this.
Yes, like she just, not long 18, and Bonnie Blue brought her in there, and then that thing happened, and she was just like, whatever, right? And
so now she's off. She's traumatized.
Yes, but the damage is done.
Wait, but 25 hours they were filming?
No. She had 25 guys at the same time. And she was just standing there watching it happen. Right? Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay, so now she's gonna go and talk about this what's her name? Carmella Arrujo or whatever, the girl there that is always talking to her brother, and she's like all about getting that bag. So listen to what she has to say.
Her assistant.
And what, she met you at Top Golf in Miami?
No, I was her like a friend in high school.
Oh, got it. And what, she just turned it up to a whole nother level. What did she do that's so different than everybody else? When it comes to like you guys, like I don't know if you're doing it too, but if it's like, we'll say BOP House people, like how does she create that and how does she take you guys to a level where you need her?
She's just like a go-getter. Like her and her management, everyone around her, like everyone is just, there's a next level and she's going to get there. And she's going to get there. Like I'm like,
but what does she do for you that's like you couldn't do on your own? Like you think it's exposure?
Well, like, yeah, like the podcast is what made me big. When I was her assistant, that's like what made me big online, was like me being her assistant and her talking to me. Yeah. And then internet loved me because I was like so innocent and like small and cute and tiny. That's what they loved me for. And I just kept going on the internet after that.
And then she was like, yeah, we got to take you to the next level.
Yeah. She was like, Jill, you don't understand.
That's crazy.
Yes. She was
crazy,
small and cute.
She looks like a kid.
Yes, she is. Yes. That's what people loved her for.
That's disgusting.
Yes, it is. So she's next level and whatnot. Then she gets her from being her assistant to coming into the BOP House, right? I mean, we watched some of her clips there before. She's all about money, right? She
went from being assistant to doing the actual work. It's crazy.
Yes. So she's like, I'm going to take you to the next level, and right, because she's like, well, she's watching this girl and going after the money and everything else like this, and now she's talking. Now we're looking at Carmella talking to a streamer.
Bill, how much did you make off OF? You don't want me asking, like in 1 year. What's the most you made in 1 year?
Like last year, on track to make this year.
This year. What are you making on track this year? How much?
I'm roughly doing like 1.5 to 2 mil a month. So.
Yo, DDG, I ain't gonna lie. At this point, you and I gotta get 2 mil a month, DD. I'm sorry.
He's like, he's like, that's Aiden Ross, yeah. And DDG, I think that's like another streamer or whatever. I didn't see his face there, though.
Yeah, so she's there making $1.5 to $2 million a month just juicing these.
She's like 1.5 to 2 mil.
Yes,
on, bro.
and she's
bro.
and she's just like all about the money, right? And so forth. But now we're gonna listen to a clip as she talks to the guy there about getting like a boyfriend and what she's like in a relationship, which is probably important to see this one because this is kind of going to set the stage for the whole boss babe thing, and this is the mentality.
You could be open with me, obviously, here because I know you make money. My question is, if you've ever been in a relationship, be honest, because just be honest. Like, if you've ever been in a relationship, like you're making a lot of money and shit, have you ever like tried to like boss the relationship up a little bit? Yes. No. Do you call the shots? No. Okay.
No. Yes. Yeah.
That's the problem.
But it's not. No, but it's not because I make a lot of money. It's because I feel like I have a very bold personality.
It's literally because you make money. Because if you didn't have money, you would never have the audacity to speak to a man that way. Because you would have to rely on him and respect him and all of his hard work and his help to you. You would have to respect him. But now that you have everything yourself and all this extra money, you can literally talk to him however you want, look down on him and be like, screw you. I have this anyways. I don't need you.
It's a function of what she does to get the money. Like the girl talks about, like she's a focused, like chasing that bag. But then you see what it does. Like she says, she comes in because of the bold personality that she has. Because she becomes very extremely aggressive and just goes after it with like an eye single for the getting the bag. And you can see some of this, like even the way that she talks to her brother or doesn't look at the consequences of what the effects of what she's doing, and then it's brought up in her face, and then she kind of just brushes it off and be like, "Here, I'll just get you a new car." Well, that's not going to fix the psychological damage, right? But this is the kind of mentality.
Oh, she's not. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So this is what ends up happening with a lot.
She doesn't have more.
The boss babes is that they're in a position where they're becoming very aggressive and they're focusing on the money and getting the money. It doesn't matter what business you are, but you're just focused on getting the money without having the consequences of what it's doing to people around you. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the mentality that we're looking at, because
it's disloyal.
Yes, you're just doing whatever it needs to make you money. Right? And like even with, we're just going to pull up a clip of her talking to one of, well, go ahead.
Well, it's funny because when you see women struggling to go to the top, they destroy everyone in their path to get there. But men, you will see, they will say, when I was young, I didn't have anyone, I didn't have a father. And, so like I had guys in the streets and they were loyal to me and they taught me a lot of stuff. Obviously, you're learning some messed up stuff in the streets. But the damage, if you compare it, do you know what I'm saying? Like if you compare it to like a woman who's rising to the top and just slitting everyone's throat on the way there, versus the men who like mafias who like take in boys who have like nothing, or like those bikers that will take in. We have a friend.
Men understand that you need to have some kind of crew to help you.
Yeah, and the girl, she's really well off. She's like one of the most level-headed people I know, and bikers were the ones that like really gave her that structure growing up. And like that's not what you would think, but it's even
because
she's better off with the mafia than an OnlyFans.
Because she understood that certain things had consequences and people did things and they got hurt, right?
Yes, but these women that do this, they have no understanding of consequences, and they don't care who they hurt on the way there. They will hurt their own flesh and blood and the people closest to them that actually support them and love them to get whatever they want, because they're laser focused on the money, because they think the money is what is going to solve all the problems. So they don't care 3 kicks about nobody, not even themselves. It's not even self-preservation mindset, because eventually they destroy themselves.
Yes. And then she's talking to her friend here about their relationship, and just listen what she says about monogamy.
I haven't been cheated on because I'm not
You're blonde. You've been cheated on.
No, I haven't.
You're blonde. You've been cheated on.
No, I haven't.
Call your ex. I bet he's cheating. I promise you he cheated on you.
Should I?
I promise you he cheated on you.
Okay, let's ask. Because I bet you he hasn't. Because, I don't play that.
People who believe in monogamy swear they don't get cheated on. He's not answering your phone because he's.
Hey, I have a question real quick. Have you ever cheated on me when we were dating? No? Oh, okay. That's all I needed to know.
Because he still wants to fuck you, bro. You're lying. You're lying.
He's not lying. He's not lying. Okay, bye. Have a good day.
She's so horrible.
Yes, because whatever.
And the blonde girl, she's like, okay, no, you're lying. Like, even though it's her ex, she's like, no, he didn't do that. Like, that shows that she has even more respect for men than this other
Because
person, even though they're broken up, she's like,
because that girl wants to have a monogamous relationship. Because this girl's like, oh, every person that believes in monogamy don't believe that they're going to get cheated on, and so clearly she in her mind she's saying she doesn't, right?
Clearly, she either thinks that she herself cannot stop cheating, or that someone that she's with will always cheat on her.
Because she thinks monogamy is a belief. Because she's not monogamous. This is why someone would say something like that.
Because she's practicing in her job every day.
But what it's the mentality of that type of, and this is not limited to OnlyFans. Like, you look at the women that just sit there and have a lot of money and a lot of power. A lot of them will do these types of things. They will.
Yes. Yeah. Even historically, women who were leaders, like Queen Catherine or whatever, was of Russia, by the way, was a ruthless hoe. Like a 304 as 304 as they come. Like, she would just hire people to sleep with her. Like, and she had a rotation. Like, and Queen Charlotte of England, like Charlotte Elizabeth the First. This is just what women do when they rise to the top of fame and money and position or power. This is just their standard operating procedure without any guidance. Someone said a hoe without instruction is headed for destruction.
Oh, that's funny. I'm not even gonna lie.
I know it was bad, but it's so true.
But when you get and like, I sit down and say, like, I don't know this girl or whatever we were talking about, but it's just some of the things that she's doing, right? And that pursuit of money and so forth. And we watched a few of her clips with her brother, and I feel sorry for the guy. He's just getting roasted, and she's just like, well, that bag here, I'll just buy you something, feel better. I'm like, you don't understand how your brother's wired. Men are wired. He's going to end up being damaged. His life is being impacted by what she does. And she's like, well, they shouldn't do it. Well, yeah, they shouldn't, but they're still doing it. And it's part of a consequence of that. And that's really the way it is. And because women and men see consequences very differently, it changes things quite a bit. We'll take a commercial break, and then I'll pull up the next clip that's going to start talking about the women that are in that they're at that what is it? They're talking about their loneliness, and what you're going to look at them and you're going to sit down and wonder why. But anyway, we'll take a short break.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
Yeah, so if you need any of the MyPillow products, go to mypillow.com/Karis or call 800-845-2942. Use promo code Karis, or you can support with some of the things that you see below. There's the Give, Send, Go, the donor box, and so forth, and different ways to support. Or if you're watching on Rumble, BitChute, or Facebook, you'll see other links in the description, or you can go to allmylinks.com/Karis, the Karis Project, and there's a bunch of different things that you can choose to support if you want to go down that road, or yes, try out the stuff from the MyPillow. Now, I just want to kind of just make a distinction. I'm not sitting down and saying that every person that's doing this or even engaged in the OnlyFans is doing this. It's not the case. There are some people that do things that are more ethical in their actions, and some people that are more unscrupulous, and so forth. And people do things for different reasons, and so forth. But I'm just commenting on the actions that I see on this situation. So that is what it is. What I'm going to sit down and say here now is we're going to go into some of these things where women are talking about their loneliness in their 30s, because many of them spend their 20s getting this dream that this is what I need to do. And so we'll bring this up.
I'm single, I'm 35, and quite honestly, I'm lonely.
I'm just so lonely.
I'm so overweighting. Like, when is it gonna be my turn?
I feel like I'm back in that hopeless pit where I'm just like, when's it gonna be my turn? Why is it taking so long?
Why is it so hard to find a guy?
Never having been picked, never having been wanted, never having been desired, as you go through all of these years. 27 years for me, 27 years.
Everyone talks about the male loneliness epidemic, but no one seems to be talking about how lonely women are.
I literally cannot express in words how badly I want a relationship.
I'm 37. I'll be 38 this year. I don't have any kids. I don't have a boyfriend. I don't talk to anybody. So I'm always alone.
I genuinely question if there is real love left, especially in our generation. It sucks being 32 and single and seeing all your friends get engaged and not even being close to that.
I've been stood up, ghosted, lied to, all in a matter of 3 months.
I hate this shit. What do y'all want me to say? I be in the bed crying every night.
I'm crying because I'm just reflecting on the fact that literally every person in my life has used me and then just throws me out like a piece of trash.
And I'm so tired. I don't want to try anymore.
She doesn't want to try anymore. Has the dating market really gotten this bad, where women are actively looking for men and still can't find any?
Where are all the single straight men?
Where are the women pushing 30? Where do we find good men at?
Where are all the single guys that are respectful and educated and want to take care of a woman?
Where are the men our age hiding?
What does it take to find a good guy? I don't understand why it's so hard in your 40s to just find a good person.
I'm starting to wonder where they are. Where?
Drop a comment and let these women know where the good men are, because apparently they can't find any. And if you've watched the previous videos on this channel, you already know how picky women can be when it comes to dating. Everything has to be damn near perfect.
There was one guy that I dated who was so nice, so cute, took me on the best dates, so fun. We had fun. Every single day we had fun. But I did not feel emotionally connected.
It's not that I haven't been on dates, or it's not that I haven't had boyfriends before, but it's more so that I just haven't been wowed.
He could be a good guy, but that doesn't mean that he is good enough for you. That doesn't mean that he is right for you, and you should not have to compromise on your standards or your non-negotiables because he's a good guy.
I am looking for a specific relationship. How I want it to be. And I am okay with being single if that means I will never get it in my lifetime.
And it wasn't even that I wasn't attracted to him, because he was an attractive guy, but there was just something lacking, and I was able to recognize it quickly.
This is exactly why so many men have tapped out of dating. The kind, consistent, and emotionally available men women say they want are often ignored. Why? Because they live normal, everyday lives that don't create drama, but women see that as boring.
In general, good men are steady and consistent and predictable. It's why, as women, we think you're boring.
I'm just gonna say the quiet part out loud. Most men are mind-numbingly boring.
He's so nice, and he's the guy that I should want. But it's like, I need a little bit of like a, you're going to send me to the psych ward.
When you get treated good, it's kind of like boring. And don't hate me, but I do love toxic. And I don't mean like super bad, but I like some spice in my life.
Because I feel like if a guy is nice, that means he gets no girls. And that's like a turn off.
There's a lot of women that I see with their husbands. It's like, you're going to spend the rest of your life pretending that that is not the most boring man on earth.
See, this is the trap a lot of men fall into, thinking they have to be emotional and toxic just to keep a woman's interest, but don't fall for it. Like I said, it's a trap.
I'm not even gonna lie. These women are fatherless. Let me tell you right now, when I say I love boring, I love consistent, I love like mind numbing, like boring, like please, I love the consistency. I love the peace of mind. I want to be like, I love the person where I can sit in the room, we gel well together. We don't really even got to say anything. Sometimes we can just chill. Miss me with that psych ward nonsense. Because you know what? And the girl was like, oh, well, I just, you know, where are the good men? But women will not submit to their fathers. You know what? I'm confused by women who don't have options of men who are reaching out to them, because when I tell you the DMs are on next level, like blowing up my phone like 24/7, it's just annoying. There is constantly, sometimes my dad would be like, oh, this guy just reached out to me and asked if he could court you for marriage. I'm like, who? Like, what the hell? And like people, because we have an online presence, I guess it's easier for guys, but like there's constantly somebody asking my father or me, hey, can I please, people ask me online, how can I contact your father? I want to court you for marriage. I am serious. I actually like you. I want to get to know you. How are these attractive women not finding, you know what I think it is though? Their character sucks ASS. And that's what this is, because they suck. And not only that, they have fatherless behavior. If you have a father who's guiding your actions and helping lead you into success in life, men are going to see the work in that, and they're going to see the value in that, and they're going to actually want to be with you. Your father is going to open doors of opportunities for you with other men just by helping you be the best version of yourself. Women are not listening. We can't find, women don't know how to find good men. We don't know. We honestly do not know how or where to find them. We don't know what to do because we don't understand the way that men think. We don't even know what they like.
No, they don't. And then they have unrealistic expectation. They're like, oh, well, I should just want this, but I just want the guy that make me feel like I want to go to the psych ward. No, you don't, because that's the guy that's going to punch your lights out. But when you disciplined yourself this way to go for this kind of stuff, you want a guy that's going to make you feel that chaotic up and down, but you don't want him to paw in your face. You want him to take care of you and all this stuff. And you're going to have this mythical person that doesn't exist, because you can't have a man that's chaotic that's going to mirror your emotions, and then he's going to hold it down. He's going to be uncontrolled, because men are not designed to be that way. And if he's that way, he's going to do you wrong. That's just the way it is.
You know what? If a man is being a man, he's exciting enough. A woman, she needs that level of excitement in her life, probably because also she raises children, but also because men live very dangerous lifestyles when they go out and go to war or go to work, and you know, maybe their job is dangerous or whatever. Women need to have like a little bit of interest in their mind. If a man is being a natural man, if you're being, for example, if you're a Christian and you're following your Christian values, you're going to get persecuted. If women didn't think in that way in some capacity, they probably wouldn't devote themselves to men or go along with them on adventures to do great things and build empires with them as a family. That being said, we are like, women are doing it in a reverse, like messed up way where it's like self-inflicting pain because they actually just don't trust the man in front of them to lead them to do great things together as a family. And because they don't understand how to cooperate with men, they don't understand the world around them or the circumstances around them, they don't see it as the excitement that it actually is, because life is a lot more dangerous than women realize.
Yes, but they also have been taught this whole idea, this boss babe myth, that you don't need a man, he's optional, that you know what you want and you can get whatever you need, and you disciplined yourself.
Relationship, a very specific man. She likes someone and she's trying to impose that man on every other man she meets.
But she's also trying to create a type of man that cannot exist. Right?
Based on someone she already seen.
No.
She said, I want
yes, you might look at somebody, but then you want these qualities, like this chaotic quality, but you want the responsibility of a man who's not chaotic fused with this chaotic person to mirror your emotions, but he won't punch your lights out, but he's going to try to make you a little crazy, but he's going to be super responsible when it comes down to it and take care of you and all of these things. You want a man that you think you should have, but if you actually get that man in front of you, he's going to be abusive and he's going to discard you. Or you'll get a good man and he's going to be like, I don't need to be with you. You're nuts. I can't deal with you.
But do you know the reason why they actually say they want the man that will send them to the psych ward? They're talking about the man that they think is going to flip tricks with them in the bedroom that will like make their minds go through the roof because they have porn brain. Like they have from also these movies, these TV shows like, you know, Vampire Diaries and all this other stuff that really shows that sell to the idea to girls that the hot guy that's kind of emotional or whatever, he gives you the best romance and intimacy, and that's why they think the good guy is boring, because they're attaching, you know, the potential of their satisfaction to this psychotic man. And it because they're in an emotionally heightened state all the time of fight or flight with crazy people like this, that's why they have they think they're having a better experience, but in reality they're just running off of like sick dopamine hits, and they're not happy at all. And when they come down and they blow their fuses and they actually come across someone who's a decent individual, they're like, oh, this is nice. You know, this is actually very nice. I like this. But they end up understanding that after they've been punched in the face 10 billion times, because the man that gives you that level of intimacy is also going to beat the brakes off you. Like, that's just what it is. The only reason you're having that level of experience is because of the heightened sense of emotions, of stress and trauma that you guys are dealing with in that relationship. It's not because he's some like sex god or something that he can actually flip tricks. Like he's like some like.
Yeah, so they're looking for the wrong qualities, just something to make them feel a certain way, but it's going to yield something that they don't want. Let's listen to the rest of that clip, and yeah.
The reason that they have these up and down emotions is they want to see two things. Number one, if you care about them, and number two, how steady and stable are you?
Again, it's just another difference between us, not good or bad or right or wrong, just another difference between us as men and women. As women in general, we like chaos and drama and disruption of routine.
Normal is boring. Normal, safe, stable, secure. It's boring. And they need crazy.
Are you a rock solid kind of guy? Or are you going to be like all over the place, yo-yoing with her? And see, women don't want a guy who's an emotional yo-yo. I mean, it's all good and fine for them to be emotional yo-yos and up and down and all over the place. Yeah, fine. But a woman hates that in a man. And the problem is that in the West, in Europe and the Americas and Australia, New Zealand, you know, we've been socialized into believing that we have to cater to a woman's emotions. This is a colossal mistake.
That's a huge mistake. This is why it's so important to focus on building your life so you have options. The same women who ignore good men now are often the ones complaining later when those men are no longer available or when they go for younger women.
Men my age, they don't want this.
The only kind of men that date and marry women that are substantially younger than them are insecure men.
I mean, they're teachable. They're fresh. They're pure. They're naive. They'll listen to us. And here I come with my 44 years of experience and lessons and, you know, my self-worth.
I am 44, and these two men were 40 and 42. And they're the two men that are on my roster that I'm actually interested in, sexually attracted to, interested in intellectually, have great chemistry with, great conversations with. And they both friend zoned me because they think they might want kids someday.
They don't want a partner. If they wanted a partner, they would seek someone who was closer in their age. They would seek out a peer.
So this is what I'm dealing with men who are my age, out in the dating pool, sniffing around 40-somethings, but might want kids someday. I can't with this nonsense. It's biology. Did we stop teaching that in schools?
Look, I'm not sure, but I think wanting kids someday is a valid reason for not wanting to date a woman in her 40s. When women are younger, they often look for a man with resources because of the life he can provide. So no one should have a problem with older men dating younger women. And yet, despite all of this, women have been asking the same question for decades. Where are all the good men? Even radio shows back in the early 2000s were filled with that same discussion, and the conversation still hasn't changed.
All these women have complained, where are all the good men? You know where all the good men are? You said no to them. You said no to the nice guy who wanted to take you to the prom. You said no to the guy who asked you to marry him because you thought you could do better. You said no to the guy who, wanted you to move in with him or wanted you to fall in love with him. You said no to, you made fun of the guy, right, who sent you all those Valentine's Day cards and the balloons and the little teddy bears and everything. You just said no. Then one day you suddenly turn around and guys aren't paying attention to you anymore.
Now, if you want to see the struggles in dating for women who fell for the independent woman and the I don't need no man trap, click this video on your screen now.
Honestly, the one girl that was like, oh, I'm talking to these two guys. I was like, two guys at the same time that you're sexually attracted to and intellectually interested in? That means, have you tasted the fruit of both? That's crazy. Like, and then they were like, no, I might want kids someday. I'm like, so they probably even peeped the fact that you've been talking to two people, but the only reason that they cut it was because that they wanted kids. Honestly, I'm 28 years of age. I need to have kids. This is crazy. I'm so terrified of going into my 30s, unmarried and without children, seeing videos like this. That is the worst nightmare possible. Not only do they say no to the good guys, but then they divorce good men because they're like, oh, my life is not exciting enough. I want to chase the bag. I need all the money. I don't even need the money. I don't need all the excitement. I don't need a Birkin. I need him to just be kind to me and genuinely kind to me. Like, women today are just ruining everything. I'm not saying that the men are not also ruining stuff, but women are being off the wall.
Well, what they're being fed when they're younger, and then they're coming up through their 20s, that you need to get all of this, and this. A man doesn't care what you make. He doesn't care what degrees you have behind your name. A lot of these things that women think that make them important, and what they all look at each other as like you've arrived. Men don't care. And like, men want children. Most men want to have a legacy. Most men understand that one day they're going to die and that they need to have people that they're going to have to carry on their legacy. That's the way that men are. Women don't seem to understand that. Like, they're like, oh, well, you don't have a kid? Well, sorry, I don't want to talk to you anymore. They're like, what do you mean you don't want to talk to me? Well, I want kids. I want a legacy. You don't. So too bad. It's not going to work. Right? Like, what, like, I don't understand. You want to have your career. That's your choice. But when it comes down to it, when a man wants to have kids and you want to have a career, that's just too bad for you. You're going to X yourself off from most men because most men want families. They do. They want kids. Men like kids. Men want to have progeny. They want to have sons and daughters. They want to have family, right? If you don't want that, you're going to eliminate yourself from a lot of men. And the other men, a lot of them are just going to run through it because they're like, well, whatever, and I'll find the woman that I want to have kids with.
Yeah, honestly though, a lot of men, like, they do yo-yo back and forth with women, which is the worst thing possible. We've seen the problem of men following the emotions of women since the Garden of Eden. And Adam followed the emotions of his wife instead of standing on business like a man. Because women will innately stop trusting a man as soon as she might enjoy like him doing the emotional ride with her, like initially, because she's like, oh, ha, 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 we're here for a good time, not a long time. And then once it settles in that he's emotionally yo-yoing with her, she's not going to respect him at all because she's not going to trust him because she doesn't even trust her own self when she's emotionally yo-yoing. So when a man starts doing it, then she has no respect or trust for him. So then the relationship, she can't respect him as a man.
What it is,
boring.
What it is, she wants control. She wants a man that she can push his buttons. And when a man does not respond to that, she can't control him.
True.
She can't.
That's true. But women, the fact is, but what I'm trying to say is, if he yo-yos with her, she's not actually attracted to him. She's just going to be like you said, controlling. But
yes.
She's not actually attracted to him. She doesn't actually like him. She's just like, he's like a play toy for her that she just enjoys toying with and getting an emotional rile out of, which, like you said, if he doesn't respond to her, like if she's emotional and he just stays consistent, a woman's more attracted to that because she's like, wait a minute, like he doesn't respond. Like women have to find better ways to get the men to show that he actually cares about her, more respectful ways, because if she tries to do the emotionally manipulative stuff and he just sits there and he stays the same, she's going to be like, what the hell? Well, this works on everyone else. Why does it work on you? Because he's actually a man. So he's not.
Or we'll just aggravate it'll aggravate the woman because, I mean, if a woman's going to lose her mind, I'm not going to lose my mind with her. Too bad. Sorry, I'm not giving you that kind of control. Right? Like, I mean, my ex-wife used to be like, oh, I just want to make you why don't you like fight with me so I know that you care? I'm like, I do. That's why I don't fight with you. But by all means, go ahead, go crazy. Right? Like,
you know what? That you said that makes a lot of sense why a lot of women actually get pissed off with me when I just sit there and I don't respond, because we do as women think that if you fight back with us, it means that you care because you're showing your emotion, you're showing your emotional investment. Women think when you don't show emotional investment in a conversation, you're just sitting there like blank, that you don't care about them at all.
If a man,
actually trying to protect them in the same
yes, because if a man gets to that point and he loses his mind and then he plows you in the face, that's consequences. So a man needs to control himself, because if he gets to that point and he snaps, it's going to be bad for you. This is why a man is not going to engage with you. And if you want the man that's going to engage with you, there's going to be that chance that he's going to punch you in the face. And a lot of women get into that situation because they get that emotional man that they resonate, that makes them feel good. And the next thing you know, they're getting punched in the face. This is you listen to women who go through domestic violence and you'll see that happening a lot. Right?
Yeah. But this is also why women, like I said, the guy in the video said you could have many options. And I understand this because when you're on social media, you're going to have people that come to you. Even when you step outside, if you're an attractive girl, people are going to approach you, whatever. But you need to have a father that's going to vet those men so that you like who trust your father through the experience of knowing your father can be, your dad can be like, okay, well, this guy is a good guy. He's like got a good head on his shoulders. Maybe loves the Lord. Maybe he likes the way he thinks, you know, whatever the case may be. I don't know how your father will talk to you, but you know, his understanding of that guy being a decent individual will give that girl more confidence in her decision to go with that guy or not, because she's going to be like, you know what, my dad wants the best for me, and I also like this guy, so it's a good choice for me that I made. But if she doesn't have that, she's just going to go and do boatload of nonsense and be like, oh, this guy isn't good for me, I don't know, or my girlfriend said that he's a red flag, or because he's this, or he's too busy, and all this other stuff. And it's like, no, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. Women, they need someone to help them in this process, but they're literally, again, doing everything as themselves, as feminists, and saying, oh, I can do this by myself. And they are failing. Women are literally failing at every single aspect of life, right down to picking their partners for life, because they are not submitting to and respecting headship in their homes. Men, like, that's crazy.
Said there's no equality when it comes down to like some of these boss babes and men, because when women get into a situation, and a lot of them, like even were lawyers and stuff like that, engineers, they went and started to do OnlyFans, and they started to monetize their sexuality.
And lawyers.
Now, if the amount of women that are sexualizing they're monetizing their sexuality, if the amount of men started to do that, society would begin to collapse. Seriously. I was on a podcast with a woman talking about men, because men have higher sex drives. I was like, okay, if I wanted to spend my time chasing women, and a bunch of men did that, what work would get done? Right? Like if men started to monetize their sexuality and so forth in the ways that women did, society would literally collapse. The only reason why women can monetize that sexuality is because men are actually going out and doing the critical infrastructure work, which makes the society run. Those platforms that those women are on, who do you think is building them and maintaining them? The servers and all of the hardware that goes into those things. Because coding is one thing. Yeah, sure, anybody can code, but who's building the actual infrastructure for them to do that? Men.
Right.
So it's not even an equal playing field. That whole the whole structure for the women to become boss babes, that whole area space for them to exist, is created by men.
Right.
And then when you start getting into these things where you look at people who are going in and you're getting those easy money and it comes fast, how many of them are actually saving money? Not many.
Yeah. No, they're not. That's the crazy thing.
Yes. And so this is where we have to start thinking about what we're doing and the effects of it and the longer term goals. Nobody's telling people to do anything. You can make your choices, but understand what you're getting into when you're going into, because a lot of these girls, they were doing this in their 20s, and now when they're in their 30s, they're like, oh, well, I want to settle down. Well, guess what? People want to settle down with you because then you've developed your habits to be a certain way. And like the one girl said, she becomes bossy in her relationships, being that boss girl. And you want to go ahead and like destroy your relationship with a man, try bossing him around. Try talking to him like you're his boss. That's going to rip your relationship apart. And if you find a man that you can boss around, you're going to be unsatisfied. You're going to hate the man. You're going to disrespect him. And you're just going to trample him.
Yeah.
And you just keep him around as a doormat for the security and do what you want. And eventually he's going to fall apart. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, because I actually understand consequences, I guess, I'm actually so afraid of, in one way, of disrespecting a man. Like, if in my mind, I'm like, if I disrespect, because men cannot stand disrespect. It's like the worst thing possible. I'm like, especially if a man is a man and he understands his value as a man and he's like firm in his convictions, he's not gonna like budge on things. If you disrespect him, he'll just be like, okay, bye. Like, I don't understand.
Disrespecting a man is like starving a woman of love.
Yeah, but in my mind, I'm like, I don't understand how women go around disrespecting men on purpose. Like, I understand if you do something and you're like, oh, I didn't mean to do that, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. But if you go around, like these women go around doing these disrespect to men on purpose and the men stay, I am terrified that if I disrespect a man that I care about, that he's just gonna be like, okay, sucks to suck, bye, sorry.
All right, we're running up here. We're run up on time here, so I'm going to quickly close with a prayer, and then we will. Whoops!
Oh.
Wow. Or I will not do that. There we go. I'll close here with a prayer, and then we will catch the rest on the other side. I guess that's more editing for me to do. All right. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. We thank you for the hope that you have given us, and help us that we would come together, and the men and the women to work together and to bring some sensibility and to help us to navigate this situation where we can rebuild the families and our community, our churches, and our nation, and that we can get some protection from the children from this evil that is coming upon us, is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right. Thanks, Dad, for prayers always. Yeah. Hey guys, if you're watching on this platform, stay tuned. In a couple minutes, you see us on the other end. If you're watching on Lindell TV, you'll see the next one tomorrow. Anyways, yeah. This is insanity. Boss babes are ruining things for everybody. Go back to traditional things. Women need to be women. Men need to be men. Anyways, we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for your time and considerations. And to my dearest cares, until we meet again, my friend. Ciao.
Hey everybody, Kaysha here, and today I am here with my friend Jennifer Guskin, and we need your help. We are right now working on advocacy for combating human trafficking, and here's why. So we'll give you a little bit of background of our story and why we're doing what we're doing.
I was adopted as an infant by a couple who sold me throughout my childhood. I have been to Epstein Island and on multiple Lolita Express types of flights as a child. After I went public, Child Protective Services opened a substance exposed newborn case, even though all tests came back negative, and they told me that if I wouldn't stop posting on social media, I would never see my daughter again. I started to connect how I was adopted as an infant and then sold throughout my childhood, how many other children who have been through the adoption, foster, and CPS pipelines have also been trafficked to Epstein's Elk.
And as many of you guys know already, based on the work that we do at the Karis Project, I'm an American Indian born in Canada under the Jay Treaty. My father and I were exposed in the improper contagion mitigations for the COVID pandemic in early 2020. As a result of this, I lost everything: a house, cars, corporate assets, jobs. Bank accounts were shut down in Canada, and I fled to the US as an American Indian, fully documented, and was trafficked by rogue agents in ICE and other agents in the government, and forced to live with single American men. I was even imprisoned for 7 months initially, and then trafficked throughout the states. Put on full surveillance tracking and wasn't allowed to leave the city, house, or state without permission, or work without permission. And that happened for many years, and I was on and off the streets because of that, and in and out of shelters. And that is just a small example of what many go through in this trafficking system, be it the family courts or otherwise. So that's why the Karis Project will be going to DC to speak with representatives and do live reporting. We're also going to be in contact with other families who are dealing with human trafficking, and through the CPS courts or through any other means, lesser versions of trafficking, and doing reporting on them live and otherwise. We will also be working on, we ultimately want to shine light on what's going on with the trafficking here in the US. And we also want to meet with various agencies in DC, and we'll be going back and forth for training sessions and other things so that we can be better equipped to help people deal with resolving some of the issues that we're seeing. We will also be putting forth petitions in government to help people get justice, and that's something that we have been working on already so far. We have some petitions that have recently been filed in the state of Colorado, Michigan, Texas, and Arizona, and we will be continuing.
But we can't do this on our own. We will be traveling to events and training courses, as well as DC on a consistent basis. We also have to get acceptable equipment, such as computers, cameras, interview gear, etc. There will be other miscellaneous costs that would also be like gas, food, and rooms if necessary.
So that is why we are working towards combating human trafficking, and that is exactly why we need your help. We cannot do this alone, and most what the Karis Project does is on its own dime. And so we do love and appreciate each and every one of you that support us and all the work that we do. As many of you know, we also live stream on Lindell TV every day. And everything we do, like I said, is on our own dime. So we appreciate all the love and support and all the people who do donate. And we would very much love and appreciate that still. Thank you, everybody, for your time and considerations. And thank you for all the support. And we will catch you guys in the next one, and hopefully we might see you guys in the future and come across you and maybe be able to do some great things together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are back here to talk about this whole situation of this boss babe, and like this, how it's translating into the loneliness epidemic, and how some of the issues with the feminism and so forth. You have anything you want to say before we start getting back into some of these clips?
Being a boss babe is a trap. It's a trap. Don't do it. Get married, have children, submit to and respect God and a husband. That is the way. That is the way to peace, joy, and happiness and prosperity
And
with this great nation.
And like I'm sitting down and saying, I'm not saying that women can't work or any of that kind of stuff. There's some overlap. What I'm saying is this: mentality that I don't need a man, I just want a man, and that you're just putting yourself into this position in so forth, and doing things that are going to help um unfit you for a relationship that you want, and that it actually needs, that you're going to get the best brought out in you. But that I'm saying, if that's what you want, then you got to think about how you're going to get it, right?
I mean, we obviously don't believe that women shouldn't work at all. Here I am sitting here, and we always do like work together. The point is that women's primary job in life, their probably primary lot in life, is to be wives and mothers. Like, that is the first priority. And your ministry with you individually and together with your spouse, and only God can tell you what that is, but your family comes first as a woman. Like, it doesn't make sense otherwise. Like,
Yes, and
just
so
putting yourself.
yeah, so we're going to pull up a clip of Jordan Peterson and a woman, I can't remember her name, talking about this whole feminist thing. So let's just get to this.
The feminism of freedom definitively won over the feminism of care at the point where a new technology came into the picture, which allowed us medically to flatten those irreducible differences between the sexes, or so it seemed, to the point where really there was no reason not to argue for a feminism of freedom. And that technology was hormonal birth control, which led inexorably towards a ratchet towards the legalization of abortion, which most 19th century feminists would have viewed as not dissimilar, as broadly the same thing as infanticide. And would have recoiled from. It was extremely unusual for a feminist to support abortion in the 19th century. But by the middle of the 20th century, the popularization of hormonal birth control had paradoxically increased the number of unplanned pregnancies, simply because there was more sex happening. That it became a matter of social justice, and women began increasingly to see it as a matter of social justice. That young women were no longer compelled to run off to another country, or take their life in their hands with a backstreet abortion, or various other horrors that proliferated downstream of this radical transformation in sexual mores. And the upshot of that was, again, on both sides of the Atlantic, within I believe a decade of one another, the legalization of abortion across both sides of the Atlantic. Now, I mean, I'm deeply ambivalent on the question of abortion, and I have friends who are pro, and I have friends who are pro-life, and I have friends who are pro-choice. And really, the stance I've taken on that question in the book is to say, well, wherever you sit on the absolute moral question, it's difficult to dispute that if what you're arguing for is a right to assert, is for women to have the right to assert their bodily autonomy, even at the expense of another potential human life, then that's about as definitive a stance as you could possibly take in favor of the feminism of freedom over the feminism of care, which would make a greater amount of space for the needs of the most dependent imaginable other that you could possibly think of. And so wherever you stand on the absolute moral question, the moment where abortion is legalized, and that then within the 20th century women's movement becomes inexorably hitched to the question of women's political personage as such, to the point where, I mean, particularly in America, the debate is now so toxic, I'm cautious to say anything more on it. But it's arrived at the point now where there are people who genuinely, wholeheartedly believe that for that right to be taken away would mean women are no longer able to access personhood as such.
That's an extremely deranged set of circumstances that were laid out, that was made possible by the advent of birth control and the mindset that it shifted onto people, because birth control increased the amount of unplanned pregnancies, because people acted like it was infallible. Some people didn't take it properly. Pregnancies happened. And then they're like, well, oh, I was promised I want to have a pregnancy. Now what do I got to do? Well, I'm just going to get rid of the child. And that's where your mindset is. You get a consequence that you don't want, so you kill a child. The most vulnerable member of human society. And that, I'll say it what it is, because you're killing a child. And it's a human child in an early stage of development, but nonetheless, it's a human child. But you think that because of your bodily autonomy, you can discard another human life. This is what predicated this whole mindset. So you have a generation of women that believe that they're not a person, like she said, unless you have the right to kill a child to cover your consequences of your actions, because you want to live however you want to, and you don't want to be encumbered by a child. And when you really think that through from what it really is, it's very disturbing. It is. It's not natural for a woman to want to just offer offspring because she wants to go and have sex. That's not that's really not rational. You're muted.
No, I said that's crazy. That's not rational at all.
No, it isn't. Like when I sit down and begin to sit down and think about it, it's like, and this is coming from a woman that's explaining this, that's sick, and she's afraid to say things because of the way people are in America on this. She doesn't even want to go any further on that. Right? This is what the feminism, and we'll play the rest of this so that people can get, what they're saying. But keep in mind, these are the things where people started to go in these kinds of directions, right?
And really what you're saying at this point, and what the statement that you're implicitly making there is to say that freedom is so much more important than anything else, that it's worth sacrificing a potential human life for if it comes down to what feels like a zero-sum contest. That even like more about the most defenseless human life there is, which is to say one which is still in utero and can't survive outside a woman's body. Even that life is forfeit if the price of sustaining that life is the curtailment of a woman's freedom. Now, and again, wherever you stand on the absolute moral question, that's a very strong stance in favor of freedom. And really, I see that as a real caesura moment, a profound inflection point in the women's movement, which it embraced as the baseline of women's political personhood as such, a technologization of women's bodies in the name of individual freedom. And really, I see that the 10-year arrival from the legalization of the pill, approximately 10 years, to the legalization of abortion as our entry into the transhumanist era, because that's the point where women's existence as such comes to seem inextricable from a set of medical technologies. And remember, what's fundamental, what's so radical about these technological innovations is that unlike more or less every other medical practice up to that point, certainly every licit medical practice up to that point, these don't set out to fix what's broken. If I have a broken arm, I go to the doctor and I say, "Hey, doctor, can you fix my arm, please?" And the doctor has a you go to medical school for years to learn what normal human health looks like, and to learn what to do with people's bodies in order to fix what's broken and make it normal and healthy again. And what's radical and transformative about birth control and later about abortion is that they don't fix what's broken in the name of normal human health. They break what's working normally, which is to say women's fertility or a normal pregnancy in the name of individual freedom. And I think we still underestimate what a radical transformation that was. And I think we're still working through the downstream consequences of that. And really the second part of the book explores some of the downstream consequences of having entered into the transhumanist moment in the middle of the 20th century. Because I mean, we're more than half a century further into it now. And I think we're beginning to see some of the contours of that new reality more clearly as time has gone on.
One of the things that she didn't mention, because your rights go as far as the next person and the next person, right? This is where the rights go. Now, that baby, that defenseless human being, you've now just transgressed their rights and took away their rights in order to take the freedom. This is one of the things that spurred women on and believe that they have the right to take anybody's right to get what they want, because they have the fundamental right to eliminate a human life within them for their right to do whatever they want. And so when you wire someone to think this way, it becomes very dangerous. Because if they're saying that I want to have freedom and I can do whatever I want, and I can destroy my baby to do that, then where is it going to stop?
Yeah, being able to say a woman saying I'm going to kill my own baby so that I can continue to have sex is the most crazy assertion, like one of the most crazy assertion I heard in my life. Imagine if a man said, I want to continue to have sex, so I'm going to kill my baby. Do you know how crazy, do you know how upset people would be if, like, do you know how insane that is? I can't control my sexual urges so much. I need to have sex so much that I'm going to kill my child so that I can continue to carry out my addiction. Like, that is a next level. And then women to actually do it as it's growing in their own body, and to feel the death process through their body every single time is insanity. Like, to have such a deep desire to carry out an selfish act like that.
It is that
process death in your womb over and over again, and just have graves. Like, your womb is just a grave.
Your freedom is more important than having compassion or rights for the vulnerable.
They feel the physical death.
Yes, but they've been taught that it is their right to prey on the vulnerable and the weak to get what they want.
Yes, but the damage they have to go through every time is insurmountable. For the consequence of that is insurmountable in comparison to what they're trying to obtain. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
They're letting programming override their real life experience.
But that's what ends up happening. And then they go back into their pleasure seeking because they think that that is the highest form of existence. And so I can do what I want. But the only reason why they were able to have less consequences, because, like the woman said, they created a technology to disrupt the woman's fertility cycle. And yes, that is like you said, the beginning of transhumanism, because it wasn't there to fix anything. It was there for you to just do whatever you want. And we're inhibiting you. But then there was a lot of side effects, which people didn't realize. But they promised this liberation. But then it also went ahead and made you feel entitled to take someone else's life, to then now allow you to go ahead and go through those, to have the freedom that you say that you wanted, that was promised from this. This is a consequence. Because, like the woman said, the 1800s, abortion was not something feminists were for. They weren't.
Yeah. But if you look at first wave the people who actually made feminism, you would understand. Like, you would understand that this has gone this way. People don't actually know the history of feminism. They don't actually know where it came from or what the people were like who started it. And that they were even cross-dressers that dressed as men and wanted to be men, and said that if they give away their God, give away God and the Bible, and stop listening to men, realizing that all of these are just man-made constructs, they'll get to their highest form of self and all this stuff. Like, They dressed as men. They wanted to
yes,
be men. Like if they understood how deeply sick and perverse feminism was from the jump, you can't be surprised that we ended up here.
but the average women didn't understand that, and they couldn't publicly push the killing of children because women wouldn't have bought it back then. They wouldn't have.
No, because most people, because that's sick. Like
Exactly. So they had to slowly move people along and keep themselves veiled in the dark and so forth. And from there, this, like the advent of the pill and all these different types of things, now we can look at how, where they're telling you that you can have sex without consequence. And if you have consequence, you can just get rid of the baby and then continue now with your freedom without, because that's the most important thing to you as a woman, and becoming like a man. And that's exactly what you were saying before. The goal of feminism was for them to become and surpass men, because they're like, well, we can do anything you do, we can do better. And then we just need to have all of these things that are going to help us along the way, so that because it wouldn't be possible without this outside intervention, human intervention. Because if they did that, they would be having a lot of babies and a lot of things like that without the pill and all of these different kind of contraceptions, and which fuel this, because then they're like, okay, well, you can do this without consequence, and the event that happens will just kill the baby, right? So now we're going to look at the hookup culture.
How bad do you think modern hookup culture is? Who is it worse for, guys and girls? And what does it look like if you extend that over a longer period of time? I heard Jordan Peterson say it can completely restructure your value hierarchy and make you nearly undateable.
I think he's absolutely accurate on that, because I think it skews your perception of what intimacy really is and what I think humans are sort of wired to look for in a relationship, of this like long-term trust and stability and companionship. And I think if you spend years just hooking up with people and sleeping around and not taking any kind of commitment, you will feel very detached from that idea of commitment. And I think that men or women will look at somebody who has just been like sleeping around for 20 years and it's kind of like, something wrong with you? Or like, why? Like, I don't really want to date. Like, I wouldn't want to date somebody that has, if I was in my 30s, who had spent his entire, 20s and 30s just hooking up with girls and not seeking anything that was more meaningful. Because I would kind of be like, well, what do your values actually mean? Like, what have you been focusing on? Like, I don't need you to have been in like 4 long-term relationships seeking marriage, but if you've just spent all of your time kind of chasing tail, then what does that say about you? I don't know if I could pinpoint who it impacts most negatively. I think that it's been different for men and women. I think that men have been negatively impacted because, and especially, I think the bigger negative impact for men has been for sure. And I think that has fostered an increase in hookup culture for sure. But I think for women, hookup culture has completely kind of like skewed like protecting this beautiful thing that you have, which is like, I mean, you kind of look at it biologically, where it's like men, you have the ability to like go sow as many seeds and have as many children. We're saying it with Elon right now, you can have as many kids as possible. But women, it's like, you have like 1 egg a month. You like have to protect this baby that you're having. It's just like we're wired differently. And I think for women, it's so dangerous. And I also think it's ideologically very dangerous, because you're putting yourself out there and it's under the guise of this female empowerment. Like, I can do whatever I want with my body. I can sleep with whoever. This is powerful. But it's like, you're actually just like letting somebody get off using you and putting yourself in an incredibly vulnerable situation, because he doesn't get pregnant. You might get pregnant. And now you have this child that you have to raise. Like, that's a very real consequence of sex and hookup culture that I think a lot of people don't think about, because abortion exists. And the common line is, consent to sex is not consent to pregnancy. I'm like, it kind of is. Like, whether you're consenting to it or not, it's a natural consequence. Like, that just happens. You can't avoid that. And that's just kind of lying to yourself. And so I think it's taken what is a very vulnerable, incredibly intimate situation for both parties, but especially for women, and turned it into this false sense of empowerment that I think has really skewed what women look for and what they value in themselves and they value in the world. And I think a lot of women just lie to themselves about it feeling powerful and feeling really happy. But when you look at statistics, like across decades and decades of research, it shows that women who are in, I also show this with like parenthood, but married couples are objectively happier. And it isn't because the institution of marriage is so perfect and it fixes everything, but it's because you have a lasting commitment to somebody else who has your best interests at heart, who loves you and is trying to make you better, where you have that security and that stability. And that provides human flourishing. And you'll see articles that come out and it's like women who are single in their 30s are richer and they're happier. And you read the articles, you actually get past the headline and it's like they're using an outlier from a tiny study of like 30 people, or they're saying that they're actually happier, but it's only looking at men and women who are single in their 30s. It's not actually looking at women who are single compared to women who are married or have kids or have been divorced or whatever it is. So the research is very skewed. So I think it's just like changed what women are.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, there are some issues that you're looking at when you're having this hookup culture where you're then furthering the wiring of this because, well, you know what? I'll go in and this person, they don't check all the check boxes, so I'll take what I can until I get something better. Or then I'll talk to these multiple different men because they're getting me the attention and I'm putting myself out there. But then a lot of these guys, some of them, they just only want to sleep with you, right? They don't want to have a baby. And then all of this stuff with the contraception and everything else like that, like the pill and all that, well, it absolves men of responsibility because a lot of men would have to sit down and think, do I want to do this and end up having a child with you? Because then that would help men to have more consequences for their actions. Because when men didn't have to worry as much about having babies, then it gave them the license to become more promiscuous because then they could just be like, well, I can go in and do whatever to anybody and then I'm not going to have to worry about it because I can ease out. And if anything happens, well, you can go kill the baby.
Yeah, but that's crazy because, like, even if you do agree with abortion, even if you do, decide that it's okay to raise the kid by yourself, which is crazy, you still have the consequence of disease. Like, you can get a disease and die from sleeping with a random person. Like, the baby, in my opinion, is not even the worst consequence. It's getting a friend for life called disease and dying. HIV, herpes, I don't know what other one is for life. I don't remember all of them. But as far as I'm concerned, herpes is for life. Every single one of them, the first time you catch it, is for life. I don't care if you can get the medication to let it go. It's a friend for life. And you have that's damage to your reproductive system. Every time you get a disease, even if you cure it with the medication, that's a hit to your internal organs. Your internal organs have memory. Like, that is a hit. So it's like, yeah, you could heal or whatever, but like, people don't think, oh, I'm preventing I can have the freedom to sleep around and not have kids if I do the abortion or if I do Plan B or what is it? The one that stops you bleeding, birth control or whatever. But I'm like, they have no fear of consequence for disease. Like, I'm just confused. But like, yeah, I agree. Like, I agree. Yeah, what she's saying makes sense. As a woman, you don't even want a man who only spent his 20s and 30s sleeping around endlessly with no purpose just because he can. Like, that to me is a very scary kind of person. That's a weird person.
Yes.
I wouldn't trust you all of a sudden want to be monogamous and be with me for the rest of your life. I would be terrified that you just go sleeping around with people.
All right, we got to take a commercial break and we'll be back on the other side.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
So if you need any of the MyPillow products, go to mypillow.com/Karis or call 800-845-2942. Use the promo code Karis, or you can go ahead and support there at the donor box. You can see in the ticker below, or the Give, Send, Go, which you can see coming there. And I mean, support a good cause if you want to, help with the fight against human trafficking. If you're watching on Rumble, BitChute, or Facebook, you will see the links in the description, or you can go to all my links /the Karis Project and find ways to support. We would be much appreciated to help bringing this content. All right, so we're going to kind of circle back here now, and we're going to listen to a little bit more of what they were saying about the hookup culture in this next clip.
Part of that, I feel like, for women have to make more money because they're supporting themselves versus if they're in a relationship, they could take other jobs and maybe pay less that have a better balance.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot of women who are married choose to, take a lower paying job or be able to stay home with the kids. And there's also the opposite side of things where it's like married men significantly out earn unmarried men, because then there is this, and I've even just watched it with Alex, where we don't have kids. I make good money, but as a husband, he's like, no, if you ever want to like stop working completely, I want to be able to let you do that, and we don't have to change our lifestyle. We don't have to worry about anything, and I want to protect you. And especially as I've kind of made this whole career shift of leaving a situation where I had I had a W-2 job and I was a salaried employee to where I've now jumped to, my income is based on basically what I put out. I would have been able to do that if it wasn't for his, support and being able to make that happen. And in a similar way where he started his business, I was able to give support because he was leaving his W-2 job. So it's like this give and take. But just watching him as a husband, we've only been married for a year, he's making significantly more. And it's like this mindset shift of, I'm going to be better for you. I'm going to try to make more to provide for us. And I think that there's a lot of unmarried men who are obviously motivated and want to do well, but don't have that extra, I need to provide, I need to take care of them. So yeah, you have women that need to provide because they don't have that safety net. And then you have men that are driven. So again, it's just like this divide between men and women goes so deep right now between happiness and finances and educational levels to ideology. It's so deep. But I think people kind of brush it aside and make fun of it, and we laugh at it and we say, oh, these liberal women, whatever. It's so important. It's like our society is becoming completely off kilter because of this. I think it's a root of a lot of these issues. I think Jordan is one of the only people that talks about it as extensively as it should. Chris Williamson is another one who talks about this extensively because it's such a huge issue.
What do you think about the dynamic where women make more than their husbands?
Yeah. I've seen it work and I've seen it not work. Like in my parents' marriage, that was a big issue. But it was, the money wasn't the issue. It was the personalities more than anything. My mom was a very dominant person, and I think that she needed somebody who was more dominant than her and was as assertive as a person. It was probably a lot more overtly, assertively masculine in more traditional ways, where my dad is definitely not that at all. And so I think that already caused an imbalance, and she is not somebody who's going to make herself smaller, or I think she kind of looked at it as hey, well, you need to rise to the occasion. And he was kind of like, well, you're hurting my feelings. And so I think there was an emotional layer to that. It wasn't actually about the money. It was more about how they were operating within their marriage and what the responsibility was and how that made each of them feel, where she then felt very resentful and he felt ashamed, I think. But that, again, it wasn't, I think the money was a symptom or an additional symptom of that rather than being the actual cause. Like they would have still had the same issues if he had made significantly more, I think. And so I think it really goes down to, you know, in the marriages that I've really seen it work. Like I have a very, very close friend who's a mentor to me. She's one of my best friends, but she's much older than me. And she has always had a more traditional corporate job that's made a lot of money, and her husband does not. And they have an incredible, incredible marriage, and they are each other's best friends. But at the beginning of their marriage, they kind of acknowledged the elephant in the room of, hey, this is the path I'm taking, this is the path you're taking, and we're deciding this early on, and that's okay. And if things change, we'll address them. But she still massively, like, it doesn't change her respect of her husband. He's an incredible, incredible guy who leads their household, who is an amazing, amazing man, and she reveres him in everything. And I think that's the key, is that I think money is very difficult in general too, and money causes a lot of problems. It's kind of like an age-old saying. But the foundation has to be there, I think, before the foundation has to be there for it to work.
Yeah, honestly, wait, you gonna say something?
No, go ahead.
I think that, you know, for my personality, if by chance, I don't know, that I
You're a
end
little
up
quiet.
making more. Can you hear me now?
Well, yeah, but I mean, you're just quieter than normal, but that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. If I by chance was making more than my husband, my future husband, I have such a naturally submissive personality where I want to cooperate and respect anyways, that I think I wouldn't care, because I wouldn't care personally. Maybe I don't know if he would care, but I wouldn't care because in my mind, my money is your money. Like it's our money. So I wouldn't feel like it's mine over your head. I really wouldn't care how he used it or what was done with it, so long as it was used responsibly, or like I would trust his judgment in that. Like I really would not care 1 ounce however it was used. Like I probably wouldn't even care if he was the main person who managed it, honestly. Like I really would not care. But I know a lot of men feel really bad about that. I don't see a world where that would happen. I don't know, for me personally. But I think that most women, if they get in the position where they are making more money, it does change their personality, because they start to think that they can judge the actions of men like men, regardless if they're married to them or not, and they start disrespecting them as men, thinking that it's just their, you know, they are, you know, of a better status or whatever, because of the money they're making. But now they start to look down on their husbands instead of respecting the things that they're actually doing that's positive, which is why, like, even if you do make more money, you still have to maintain that respect for your spouse as your spouse, because whatever you guys have, it belongs to you both, and you can just continue to build more things together. Like you can be a team and build more wealth and bigger empire and all this stuff together. So it's like it doesn't matter, but it depends on the character of the person you're dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty difficult because, I mean, there's that natural tendency, and a lot of it and this is where I tell people, like, financial providing is like the smallest aspect of what a man provides in the relationship. And people look at this like it is the end all be all. It's not the end all be all, because there are things, the most of what a man can do, you cannot pay money for. You cannot. No. And you look at some of these women that are making a lot of money, and they realize that they cannot pay for what a man. They're like, oh, I want this, I want this. And you can't pay somebody to do that. Like I always tell my daughter when she's little, you can't pay someone to love you. You just can't, right? And so a lot of the things that they're going to want, you're only going to get that from somebody loving you in that way. And those kinds of things come with a monogamous relationship. You cannot, a man is not going to invest in you in the way that you're going to need to fulfill you to the highest level if you're in a non-monogamous relationship. It's not possible, because men and women are too different to be able to fill their needs, because they have to learn from each other, and this is something that takes time. But I'm going to bring this clip in from this woman. She's talking about her job. She's, I guess, a sex worker of some sort or whatever. And she's talking about what she would do if she had the chance to do it again. And then I'll put in another clip of a different woman talking about something else. But we'll just listen to this short clip of her.
Even if I could make just as much or more money doing something else for a career, I would still pick this one.
How much do you love the job or the work that you do today?
I can't imagine anything better. I feel like I've worked so many different jobs and I've never been so excited to go to work. I've never been so excited to drive 4.5 hours from city to city to make sure it happens. It's a dream. I get paid for it. I cannot believe it every day. So I've said this before, but if I could start over and build my life any way I wanted to, even with the downsides of the social stigma and family issues with it, I would still do the exact same thing. Even if I could make just as much or more money doing something else for a career, I would still pick this one.
Yeah.
So it lines up perfectly with my interests, my purpose, my professionalism. It couldn't be better.
I mean, that's what you know. I mean, you can't sit down and say that if you faced a different set of circumstances in life, right? I mean, but that's really what it is. Because I can sit down and say, well, I could make this path or whatever, but I'm like, if my life circumstances were different, can I sit down and say that I would make the same choices as I did now? I can't say that, right? Because if you're faced with different circumstances, right? Because a lot of the things that you do shape what you do in life and so forth. You'd say in an ideal situation, but regardless, I mean, it is what it is. That's just kind of what that was. But I'm going to bring up another clip here, and this is a woman talking about she's going to unpack the mysteries of women's logic, which is kind of sort of a fitting thing that we should hear about since we're on this topic. And let me find that right here. Yes, and here we go.
Being a woman, I totally understand how women think and behave, and it all made sense until it didn't. Being with a man who uses logic and rational thought really helped me see that women logic is not even a real thing. For example, I see comments like this quite often, which makes sense to a lot of women, but in the real world, what this person is saying is they would rather be star of Ishtar than co-star of Forrest Gump. Most of us know this makes zero sense. Putting down and dominating a man creates a miserable life for such a woman and her husband. Her strengths are used to tear him down, and her weaknesses hold them both back. What smart women do is realize they found a capable man who loves her, so she will support and nurture his strengths while taking up the slack on his weaknesses. That way, the couple can proceed most effectively toward their mutual goals. The additional benefit of this approach is there is no resentment or wasted energy from fighting amongst each other. When we say it like this, it is very reasonable and logical that a woman should be submissive and supportive of her husband. But since we are talking about women, it's rarely that easy. Many women resist submission because their egos feel threatened. They don't want to give up themselves, lose their voice, become a slave, or whatever useless hill they've chosen to let their relationship die on. Why is this so easy for men to understand? Maybe because they're more likely to have played team sports, where the best teams have players who make winning more important than their individual goals. They consider their role as a chance to help the team win, not to get individual glory. They've also seen losing teams have arrogant superstars who will cause major distractions for the team just to get attention. So what can be done to help these selfish, ego-driven, and or short-sighted women? Number 1, by having a relationship overview. How does God want families structured? Number 2, how is our family structured? Number 3, if the family is not structured in God's order, why? Number 4, once you get to the root of why, have an honest conversation about what needs to be corrected so the family structure matches God's design. This is the beginning of the dialogue you need to have. Please share your story in the comments because someone may benefit from your experience. See you next time.
Go ahead.
Did you know that the painting in the back where, you know, the hand is like this, but God's hand is like this, reaching out to Adam or whatever? Allegedly, God's hand is pointing like this to show that he is intentionally seeking the connection with us as humans and with Adam, whereas Adam's is slightly curved and like just barely in the direction or whatever, because it's showing that we actually have the choice of free will to choose if we want to reach back and grab God in connection. Apparently, that I read that the other day, and I don't know if it's true, but I thought it was beautiful. I saw that in the back. But nevertheless,
yes,
it's nice that she also put this around to God, because she's right. There is an ego aspect to this, what she's saying about the women, and on top of that, it's coming from a place of fear. They're scared that if they give themselves over to this man, if I submit to you, are you going to honor? Are you going to honor and cherish and esteem me? Are you going to show me the love and the gentleness that I need as a woman? Or are you going to trample me and make me a doormat and your slave? Are you going to abuse my respect and submission to you? Or are you going to uplift me so that we can work together as an effective team? This is what a lot of women are afraid of. It's a fear.
You know what? You know why they're afraid?
Pride.
You know why they're afraid? Because they don't understand men. Because if they did, they wouldn't be fearful.
Yes, that's true.
Because
they do not understand that.
No, they don't. Because a man will see another man, and he'll size him up and he'll be like, yeah, that man, he's trash. They're going to know right away. They'll be like, they'll meet the guy and they'll watch his body language, his demeanor, and they're like, I want to strangle that guy. Right? Because he's a grimy, dirty predator, right? Because men are wired to see that. They just breathe that right away. They're like, no, this is why the trusted men in a woman's life would help vet the men. Like when you watched back in the 50s, when they came to have a date with the daughter, they came and they met the dad and he had a conversation with them. Because if you presented yourself like a grimy little kid, you bet you ain't going nowhere with my kid. Get out of here. Right?
Yep. People asked, my granny said even her growing up too, my granny and great-grandma, like people would ask to marry them and the father would be like, no, you're not going anywhere with that nasty man. And then they moved on with life. Like you always had to have the father vet the guy. And like men will say, oh, like, thanks for being understanding. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm not technically understanding. I am being understanding because I have a father who understands what you're doing. And I trust him to translate your actions to me correctly. So I'm respecting you by proxy of my respect for my father because he's telling me it's a non-issue. If he didn't tell me that it was a non-issue, assume it was an issue, and I would be scared of the behavior because women don't understand men's behaviors. We just literally have no clue how to perceive the actions of men, which is why women will do things like try to push a man to respond to her emotionally. And if he doesn't respond to her emotionally, she's like, oh, he hates me. Like, I can't even get him to react to me in a loving way, an angry way, in any way. Like, he hates me. That's how women think. It's not true, but that's how they think. So a woman needs a man that she trusts in her life to be like, look, this is why this guy is the way he is. This is a decent guy. Don't worry about it. he's just working. It's not anything personal. Or he's just being a man. This is how men operate. It's not personal. Just, do this to fix it. And then a woman's mind is at ease. Without that, women just don't know. And until they build a relationship enough with that man to actually understand him personally, she's not going to know. That's why a lot of women go around doing bare foolishness with man to man to man. And they're just like, I'm off this man. He pissed me off. He done this. I can't stand him. Or he done this. Like, because they don't know how to interpret the actions of men. It hurts their feelings, and then they go running to the man who makes them feel good 24/7.
Yes.
And that's the worst thing that you can do.
And they don't know the difference between nice and kind. They don't.
No, they don't.
They do not. They don't. And then they think that because you're kind and that that men will, a lot of the times they'll give you the rope and then they'll let you hang yourself with it or climb out of the pit. 100%. The choice is yours. 100%. And then when that happens, and then the consequence comes, they're stunned because they don't understand it. Because they're interpreting this as a nice guy that I think I can walk over, but the man's just watching your actions, and then he's going to sit down, he's going to tell you, don't do that, and then one day he's going to act, and you're going to be like, well, what? And you're like, well, he tells you that a man, when he says something, it's not the same when he says something to you, because he's telling you, this is where you're going. Because my daughter knew from when she was a kid, if I said something, I meant it. And I was like, you're going to get a consequence so that you know that when I talk to you, that it's not a joke. It's not going to be random. Even if I think I made a mistake, if I said I was going to do something, I'll make sure I do it so that you understood that the words carry weight. And that's what they need to understand, that the man is going to follow that up with action. And this is what, and this is what, like, even the women that are boss babes and stuff like that, they don't understand what they're doing. They're making it extremely difficult for men to deal with them, especially with the men being dealt with, because the younger men, they don't want those women. They don't, because they're too much of a headache. They'll go for the younger girl that's going to want to have children and all that kind of stuff, and not give them the headache. It's not that when they're talking about, oh, I have this and that, that's the reason why those guys don't want you, because you're too hard to deal with. And then the women that do want that, they need an exceptionally strong man that's unflappable under those circumstances, because he cannot react to those things, because a lot of those women will drive men insane because they're smart, and then they're just in your face, belittle you, that kind of stuff. And it takes a man a lot of patience in order to deal with it. Women don't understand that. When you build yourself that character, you didn't just evolve that way. You took deliberate steps to form your character that way. And it takes a lot of time to undo it. Right? And that's really the case. It is what it is.
Yeah, it really is. And that's the problem, where a lot of women think that if they hate their fathers, that they're not going to have problems with men in the future because it's a different person. Maybe they don't like their dad because they think their dad's a bad guy, but then they like men in the future. They're going to disrespect the men that they love in the future because they didn't learn how to build a proper relationship with their father. That's just how it is. They do not know how to cooperate with men. They do not understand men. Whether the dad is a good guy or not is not even the point. The point is that they've not learned the skill, or they don't have the tools that they need to adapt to the situations that they're going to be in real time, and they're going to naturally just spew disrespect, and their tongue will be like a bunch of darts just throwing at people, making them want to unalive themselves, and the men just will not stand for it. So it's like she will eventually need to learn. And most women today, unfortunately, they seem to be in a position where they are fatherless, whether it be physically, mentally, or emotionally fatherless. Like, it's just a constant problem.
The biggest thing is, and we're going to close here quickly because we're running up on time. We want to make sure that you want to, Jesus is always the answer. That's my thing. And then you also want to make sure that you're going to do what you can to cooperate and focus on yourself. The things that you think that are important to you as a woman, as your accomplishment, men don't care about that. They don't. They care about how somebody can work with them, and they both have to complement each other. And that means one's going to have to be submissive. And if you try to make your man submissive, you're going to destroy your relationship. That's really all there is to it. And so, yes, I'm going to close here with a prayer. Say that not everything's unredeemable. Just do what needs to be done. All right. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. We thank you for the hope that you have given us, and help the men and the women to come together to fix this problem so that they can rebuild the families, the churches, the community, and the nation. And that we could have some sensibility for these children to be raised. And it's my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank God for praise. Yeah, guys. Yeah, we need to be able to work together and complement one another. But women really need to learn how to cooperate with men and to be submissive and respectful. And because what we're doing right now is not working. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That has to end. So yeah, just switch it up, start doing the right thing, and yeah, let men be men. Anyways, thanks guys for your time and considerations. We'll check you in the next one. And to my dearest cares, until we meet again, my friend. And ciao.